We'll start in a few more seconds. Call the meeting to order for the Village of Round Lake Beach. This is our board meeting for Monday, July 24th, 2017. Please call the roll.
Trustee Husk.
Here.
Trustee Valdez.
Here.
Trustee Wallace.
Here.
Trustee Butler.
Here.
Trustee Nichols.
Here.
Trustee Bennis.
Here.
Mayor Hill.
Here. Let the record show a quorum is present. Would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? Not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second by trustee Valdez, second by trustee Wallace. We have motion and second. Any corrections, additions, deletions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the agenda is approved as written. We have our meeting minutes from June 26, 2017. Any corrections or clarification on those? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
By trustee Butler, second by trustee Bennis. We have a motion and second. Once again, any questions, corrections, clarifications? Again, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those are also approved. Tonight we have expenditures of $2,738,150.75. The staff have all reviewed those, the board have reviewed those. Any of the trustees have any questions on those? Okay, if there's no questions, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Husk, second by trustee Nichols. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Bennis.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
That's approved. We have no ratifications tonight, so we'll move on to our committee reports. Are there any standing committee reports tonight?
Mayor, I have two things I would like to talk about. The first is our next midweek break on the lake, and that will be August 2nd at the Civic Center right over here. It's from 6 to 9:30. It is a free event. This month, we have a panel discussion with local authors. There is live music on 2 stages and food and beverages available for purchase. It's a lot of fun. It's a great event. And secondly, I just want to take a minute and remind everybody of the recycling facilities in the area. First off, clothing and textiles can be recycled at our Public Works facility at 911 Lotus Drive. Pharmaceuticals at the police department right next door. Household chemical waste can be recycled monthly at the Swalco in Gurnee at their Estes Street facility. That is by appointment. Reuse a shoe is at the Round Lake Park Village Hall. And electronics can be recycled in Grays Lake Public Works at 585 Berry Avenue. And for more information, you can go to swalco.org, and remember, recycle first, trash last. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, trustee. Anyone else? Okay, I have a couple things in our mayor's report. First, I'd just like to thank our Public Works Department, our police officers, and everyone else who was out on the street this last 10 days or so. We had some tremendous flooding, as you're all aware of, over 7 inches of rain, more than I've ever seen. I've been there since '77 in Round Lake Beach, and it was pretty horrific. But they're all out there. They did a great job, but we got the trash cleaned up pretty quickly, and we move on to the repairs. We're still working with FEMA and the county and the state to see if we can get FEMA to do a reimbursement. And we'll won't know that for probably a month or two. That's gonna take some time. The federal government unfortunately moves kind of slow. But we are gonna keep on putting that numbers together. I think the county's gotta come with like $18 million in damages in order to be eligible for the disaster declaration, in order to be eligible for the reimbursement of the funds. So I hate to see that much damage, but at the same time, I'd like to see people being reimbursed for the cost of all this. Second of all, we had the 2017 Round Lake Area Queens are here tonight. Would you please join us at the podium? Yes, so otherwise we can't hear you in the microphone.
Oh, okay, okay. Can I just take it? Is that fine? Okay. Well, hello everyone. We just wanted to come and introduce ourselves officially. My name is Shelby Brubaker. I'm your new Miss Round Lake Area 2017.
I'm Jana Castiglia. I'm the new Junior Miss Round Lake Area 2017.
And I'm Kaden Zeller, the new Little Miss Round Lake Area 2017.
So we've been having a lot of fun already. We went to Beach Fest as soon as we were crowned, which was a lot of fun. We especially liked all the animals that were there. We're big animal lovers, so that was great. And we just wanted to reinforce that we're here for any of your needs whenever you're having an event or anything. We're at your disposal, basically, and we'd love to help.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
And the Queens were also over at the Multi-Agency Resource Center that the county and state set up over the old Garden Fresh for the flooding victims. Thank you very much for your help over there also.
Yeah, of
There was
course.
great assistance.
Thank you.
Congratulations to ladies.
Is there a clerk's report tonight?
No report.
Okay, move right into our items of business then. Item A is an ordinance agreeing to an amendment to the admissions agreement to the Central Lake County Joint Action Water Agency involving the villages of Volo and Wakanda and deleting one sentence regarding the identity of the Wakanda's representatives to the agency. Now that Wakanda and Volo have accepted bids for the work in the Jawa connections to the total over $5 million, they'll be able to become full members and to be able to be part of our board. The ordinance will need to stipulate that the mayors can sit on the Jawa board, and that'll be effective as soon as all the members ratify this agreement. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Bennis. Second by trustee Husk. A motion is second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Bennis.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
That's approved, 6-0. You may have heard that the county put out a press release that the Grandwood Park is not being served by the Joint Action Water Agency for their Lake Michigan water. That started very recently. Lindenhurst and Lakeville will be next, and then the future Wakanda and Volo. So we are expanding those pipelines to help more communities in Lake County that will have fresh Lake Michigan water and not have to worry about what the residents are drinking. See, item B is a resolution declaring certain equipment as surplus equipment. We have several items that the village no longer has a use for. We need to declare them surplus and then either sell them at auction or dispose of them in some other way if they have no value. This is done quite often throughout the year. Most items try to sell if we can, and some items just really have no value, especially when you get down to electronic equipment. They are past their date, their lifeline, their lifetime date, whatever you want to call that, and there's really no value left in them. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Nichols, second by trustee Wallace. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Bennis.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
That's approved 6-0. Item C is a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement relative to the Lake County Metropolitan Enforcement Group. They're a group of officers from throughout the county, also working with the state police and the Lake County Sheriff that deal with drug crimes in Lake County. They've been very good for us, and we want to continue using them. So we're going to be ratifying the agreement, so it has the endorsement of this board. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Wallace.
Second.
Second by trustee Butler. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Bennis.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
That's approved 6-0. Item D is a resolution approving and ratifying the intergovernmental agreement relative to the Lake County Major Crimes Task Force. There's another group of officers from Lake County, including the Sheriff's Office, with support from the state police that do with major crimes, mostly murders that happen in Lake County, so that they have all the best of the best officers out there on the scene to help solve as many as possible and gather the correct evidence and so forth. Again, we're going to be ratifying the agreement, so it has the endorsement of this board. Is there a motion to approve?
So
Moved.
Trustee Valdez,
Second.
trustee Bennis, second. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Bennis.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
That's approved 6-0. Item E is an ordinance amending section 3-2-8 of the Village Code regarding the number of Class A liquor licenses. We have a video cafe opening up over on Haynesville Road by Sherwood. There's a little plaza right over there that has met all the requirements for a liquor license, so we have to create the liquor license to make that available for them. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Husk,
Second.
second by trustee Nichols. We We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Bennis.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
That's approved 6-0. Item F is a resolution approving a non-exclusive license agreement relative to 707 West Rollins Road. The Dairy Queen over there is going to be updating their signage, and the pole sign is partly on the village property from years and years ago. It's been a staple here in the village of Round Lake Beach. We'd like to see them remain there, but the sign will look a lot nicer than it used to, and it'll be an improvement for the community. But since we found out it's partly on village property, we have to have this sign with them. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Trustee Butler, second by Trustee Bennis. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Bennis.
Aye.
That's approved 6-0. Item G is an ordinance approving a First Amendment development agreement with Grand Commercial LLC Round Lake Beach Series. This is Grand Appliance. It's going to be building a store over on Rollins Road. I guess bad for us, good for them. When H.H. Gregg closed down, they were able to pick up a couple of their stores, and they're in the process of working on those right now, so they had to delay the construction of the store here. So we have to delay the timeframe they have within the original ordinance that we passed. So this just be an amendment to that, to give them more time. Any questions by the board? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Wallace, second by Trustee Nichols. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Bennis.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
That's approved 6-0. Item H is a resolution approving funding for emergency cleanup. We had dozens of dumpsters dropped throughout town. We had waste management out in the streets, 3 trucks, 2 trucks, 5 trucks. I think we had almost 10 trucks on Saturday. We had Illinois Department of Transportation come out with some front-end loaders and some trucks on Saturday to help us finish the cleanups. So we need to, unfortunately, it's not budgeted. You don't budget for a flood of this nature. We have to pass a resolution allowing up to $57,000 to be spent on this. We're close to that right now. We expect we might have one more dumpster or something else we need to do to finish up in a couple of pockets. And this will allow them to pay off all these bills for all the hard work everyone did during that time of need. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Valdez, second by Trustee Husk. Any questions by the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Bennis.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
That's approved 6-0.
Mayor, if
Yes.
we may just say for the public and everybody to hear, how many tons have we picked up so far?
I'd say it was like 326 tons, which is a lot of garbage.
A lot.
300 tons?
300 tons. Thank you.
Item I is an ordinance authorizing and approving temporarily waiving permit fees for the repair, renovation, or replacement of residential structures damaged by the recent flooding. Residents have had a lot of flood damage, have enough to worry about without having to worry about the cost of building permits so they can renovate from the flood. We do want to make sure that people that are renovating, especially doing any kind of electrical work or when they have wet walls, that it's done properly to make sure it doesn't mold on them later on or they have electrical issues. So we are going to be waiving the fees for those that are flood damaged, and we hope that it helps out our residents to be able to get this process moving a little quicker. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Bennis? Oh, Butler?
Dennis.
Motion by Trustee Bennis, second by Trustee Valdez. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Bennis.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez.
Aye.
Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
That's approved 6-0. Item J, an ordinance approving a special use permit for Arby's with certain variances and departures for property at 776 East Rollins Road, Round Lake Beach. They're gonna be doing some remodeling over at Arby's, with their drive-through and a couple other things over that way. They need a couple of variances that some they've had before, some will be not as great, some will be a little bit more. Some deal with signage, some deal with parking, although they built a new parking between Arby's and McDonald's right now to have additional overflow parking. Any of the trustees have any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Wallace.
Second.
Second by Trustee Butler. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Nichols?
Aye.
Trustee Bennis?
Aye.
Trustee Husk?
Aye.
Trustee Valdez?
Aye.
Trustee Wallace?
Aye.
Trustee Butler?
Aye.
That's approved 6-0. Okay, item K, if I can get down to it again here. An ordinance granting variations and departures for property located at 23 West Rollins Road in Round Lake Beach. This is the Avon Dental. There's a building next door to them right now they want to tear down, add on to their building. It'll turn out a much nicer building than what the two of them had been there before. We're looking forward to especially the medical facility expanding in the village around Lake Beach. It's very necessary, and we want to work with them as much as we can. Any questions by the board? Is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Motion by trustee
Second.
Husk, second by trustee Bennis. We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Bennis?
Aye.
Trustee Husk?
Aye.
Trustee Valdez?
Aye.
Trustee Wallace?
Aye.
Trustee Butler?
Aye.
Trustee Nichols?
Aye.
That's approved 6-0. Item L, an ordinance approving a special use permit with certain variances and departures for property at 880 East Rollins Road, Round Lake Beach, Illinois. Anchor Storage is going to be expanding onto more of their property and need a few variances based on the current village requirements. I do believe that the petitioner is here tonight. Petitioner may want to step up and give a quick synopsis of what you're doing.
Jim Price, owner of Anchor Self Storage.
We have an easel coming to help you out a little bit.
Oh. I had a rendering done to give you an idea of what we're planning on doing, which was approved unanimously by the Planning and Zoning Department. We started off, we had a meeting approximately a little over a year ago with Mr. Kilbane, and we met in the office with the village engineers. Their concern was the outside storage that we have, and we've worked with the Planning Commission and members of the staff and also the village engineers, and we think we've come up with, we've addressed every concern or question that they had, and I think we've put together a beautiful property that would be an asset to the community, and that this is a rendering of what you're going to look like when you come off of Rollins Road to pull up to the property. Oh, they should have all that one. You have any questions?
Anyone from the board have any questions? And we had all the information in our packet as far as the development, what you're going to be expanding to, and the buildings and storage and so forth. So I don't think there's any additional questions. No. I understand that there's also a representative here tonight from, was it SIDA? How do you pronounce that?
SIDA.
SIDA, okay. I knew I get it wrong. Did you want to make a statement?
Good evening, Mayor and honorable trustees. Yes, my name is Debbie Haddad, and I'm an attorney with the law firm of O'Donnell Haddad, and I am here this evening to express the objection of SIDA, which is the owner of the shopping center that is immediately contiguous to this development. And SIDA opposes the granting of the special use permit this evening on the following basis. Currently, the only legal access to the Metro Storage site is a recorded easement that goes back to 1977. It's on the east side of SIDA's property, and it runs along a grassed area which is not paved. To date, Metro Storage has utilized the SIDA parking lot and drive area to access their property, even though there is no such recorded easement granting them such access rights. SIDA would be willing to work with the folks at Metro Storage to basically modify an easement so that it's relocated, but the terms consistent with the paved area. However, the terms of any such modification would require establishing conditions and restrictions relating to construction access. For example, Metro Storage would be required to perform ongoing cleanup of debris by use of of a new access area by construction vehicles. Use of the area for construction access shall not interfere with the existing tenants or their customers. For example, the Osco Jewel building, which is immediately west of the paved area, there's not a lot of room for Jewel trucks to kind of access in and out, and it would be imperative that any proposed construction vehicles not, block the trucks providing deliveries to Jewel Osco. We also believe that there should be a limitation on the hours of access, and we believe it's more than reasonable to request that an escrow be established whereby Metro Storage would deposit certain funds into escrow that could be utilized to perform cleanup of any kind of construction debris, to repair damage or repaving that might be necessary as a result of the trucks. Speaking of trucks, one of the other things that we think is important is there's been a proposed construction kind of activity plan that the applicant has proposed, but we believe there really needs to be teeth to that with respect to the number of vehicles, perhaps the weight of the trucks. But once again, as opposed to just, hey folks, this is what we think our construction schedule will be, we would like those restrictions to be part of a binding obligation of the applicant. So as we stand before you this evening, there is no such legal access over the paved area to the Metro Storage site. And as a result, it's our position that the proposed special use legally fails to meet the required standards set forth in the village code, that there is adequate access. Once again, the only access that Metro Storage has per the recorded easement is to the east of the paved parking lot. So at the present time, we think once again, I mean, the burden and the provisions that are required to grant the special use have not been met.
Thank you. Maybe our attorney could bring us up to date more on his discussions.
Well, at first, I think it would be better if the petitioner responded, and then I have some other comments that I may or may not make, depending on how this goes. So, if that's okay with you, Ron?
Yes.
Good evening, I'm David Meek, excuse me, Law Office of David Meek in Highland Park, and I've been Jim Price's attorney on this matter. And I want to just say I'm sorry that you have gotten dragged into this, because this is really a private issue regarding the terms of an easement. Very briefly, the access drive, the easement, was granted when all of the properties at issue here were undeveloped. And at that time, there was no development plan, and the easements ran in a straight line from Rollins Road straight up to where our current access is. CIDA's predecessor in interest, who developed the shopping center, decided to locate the paved parking area in a particular path and to provide what appears to be some sort of stormwater detention on the easement area. And in fact, if you look at an exhibit the site prepared for us to look at, which is proposing a route and hopefully a legal description of the easement area, the curb cut at the easement, where the easement joins Rollins Road, there is no curb cut. So we have no access. They in fact are interfering with our access easements by the position that they're taking. So under a principle of law that we should be familiar with, we have at the very least a prescriptive easement to enter our shopping center. We are otherwise landlocked. Yes, we have Hook Drive, but we've never been granted access on Hook Drive, and we had conversations with staff about potentially construction access on Hook Drive, but they said we can't do that. I think it was a jurisdictional issue. So we are in the position we are because of Cider's predecessor in interest. They purchased the property knowing the situation, that they were burdened by this easement. There is an easement agreement. The easement agreement provides for ingress and egress for operations, and it says for construction. So we have a perfectly valid easement, and what they are looking for is contribution towards maintenance, which they have asserted for us. I'm holding an escrow money to pay that in full, even though there is no proof on their part that they have in fact allocated fairly the amount that they're asking for, and I've asked for proof of that. We have waited and waited. I have been waiting for a very long time, weeks, to see what's purportedly an easement agreement that's been drafted. I have never seen any terms. I'm here to ask for your consideration of the Plan Commission's recommendation. I think we've got a good plan. I think we do have access. I don't think the question of access for purposes of the zoning relief that we're asking is in question, because it does exist an easement agreement, and anybody in their right mind looking at the survey will see that we are prohibited by the curb cut and the other access curb that is to the properties to the east of SIDA from going along the easement. So to claim that we are not using the easement that was granted is ridiculous. We don't own that property. We have to utilize what they have given us, or their predecessor in interest gave us. This is them looking for money to pay for ongoing maintenance obligations. And frankly, we have always been willing to negotiate with them and talk to them about construction. We have bent over backwards. We have laid out our best estimate of what our construction would be. But those various issues are not something for you folks to concern yourself with, in my humble opinion. That is a private matter between private parties. So we would respectfully ask that you give consideration to the zoning and planning issues that were presented by our case, and hope that you would approve an expansion of a long-time existing business, and his plans, as he said earlier, as Jim said earlier, have been developed with considerable input from staff and the Plan Commission, and we think it will be a nice addition to the community and will actually have a better appearance than currently exists there. So thank you for your time. Don't mean to take up any more. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Puma, do you have any other words of wisdom for us?
Well, I don't know if they're words of wisdom exactly, but in looking at this, they went to the Planning and Zoning Commission in June for their first hearing, and it was continued for a month so that they could meet and try and work these issues out. It's my understanding that there was no meeting. They came back in July to the Planning and Zoning Commission on the 13th again. It was discussed on that date that they wanted to work these issues out, that CETA had those concerns. You'll see in what CETA provided to you at your place. Mr. Meeks sent them an email on June 28th with the construction schedule. I don't know if there was ever any response to that email that Ms. Haddad was speaking of. There was also emails, as I understand it, last week again asking the CETA folks to meet because they sent a letter to the Village Today. I got involved with Dave and with Chris, and we were talking to the parties so that we could try and see if we could get this thing together. So this has kind of been the can's been kicked down the road. Now it got to the village board, and now it's an emergency. We have looked at the issue. There does appear to be a depressional area there where the road or the access easement is. At some point it was constructed. I understand some of you folks know better than I that shopping center has been there for a very, very long time. There are prescriptive rights that accrue. It would seem that it's impossible for them to go through there. It looks like there's a 24-inch culvert that feeds right into the bump out. You don't have a very good picture. I have a little bit better picture that they sent to me this afternoon. There's a green space. I'll kind of show each side. So it kind of bumps out. Here's a little bit better. Okay. See, yeah, that one didn't work, but that's a picture of this. So there's the easement, but the drive goes around it. There's kind of a depressional area here.
Right.
And so then they access up here. So going to the north, okay? You got it.
Attorney Puma, could I just,
I'm talking. So, let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So this is the easement that they're talking about that they're showing.
The 35, this is right here, this is where I ingress and egress, so I pass over this. It gives me the right to go anywhere I want as I cross over.
We haven't looked at the engineering plans, whether it's where it's supposed to hold water. Okay. All right, so that's what they're showing. So that's what we're talking about, is it kind of dips around, and so I'm not saying that they don't have a fair point about stopping the trucks or being concerned about when the trucks come for the Jewel stores deliveries or the other stores deliveries. I don't know how that works, but that's what's at issue, and that's, you can see where it is, okay?
That depression, that's for water retention, is it not?
It seems to be, because there's a pretty big, it looked to me like 18 to 24 inch culvert that comes in there. I don't know if it's ever filled, things have changed out.
Water in there.
Things have changed from time to time out there. There's another detention area to the rear, to the north, that's got cattails in it, so it looks like that's wet. So I don't know. And I don't know that the village has looked at that. So, so that's kind of how we got to this point and what we've been waiting for. Obviously, we want these folks to work this out so that there isn't a problem, but we've been kicking this can down the road, is how I see it, and how this stuff was discussed at the Planning and Zoning Commission a couple weeks ago also, and as I understand it, not much has happened in that time, and feel free to correct me if you guys have gotten back to them and you've tried to work this out.
I've made inquiries and I've gotten no response.
Okay.
If I can respond, Mr. Puma, first of all, I am now taking over this matter within the firm, and a couple of things. With all due respect, it is our position that it is not within the purview of the village to determine if there is any legal easement right by Metro Storage over any portion of the paved area. That is something that, if the parties cannot reach accord, would need to be decided within the courts. The village is required, pursuant to the village code, to make sure that there are access roads. And at the present time, there is no recorded easement over a paved area providing access to the Metro Storage property. Secondly, with all due respect to Attorney Meeks, why should the burden be on CIDA to continue to come forward? We're not asking for an approval of something. So I reach out to Attorney Meeks to say, as I've indicated before, we are looking for Metro Storage to make a commitment with respect to restrictions and conditions relating to the construction access over this area that at the present time is an area that does not is not legally granted to Metro Storage. So we would ask, once again, the village not to approve this matter this evening. I would be happy to meet with Attorney Meeks anytime this week to review the various matters, and hopefully we could reach accord before the next village board meeting.
With all due respect, we had a conference call in February with CITA's in-house counsel in California, as well as Ms. Haddad's colleague. They wanted to be the ones to draft the agreement. I have not seen any words to that effect. I have been cooperative. I've been indicating to them how I would suggest we approach the maintenance cost sharing. So I appreciate Ms. Haddad's outreach. I appreciate that she is now heading up this case, but frankly, I'm not going to hold my breath that we're going to resolve something in a week when it has been a year since they first contacted us with their objections. By the way, there were other objections that they raised, which we addressed promptly with respect to parking and not directing anybody behind the Jewel property with traffic. I mean, we have winnowed this down to this access easement, but I would ask Ms. Haddad to recognize that they control where the pavement is on their property, and it was their predecessor who laid this out. So one would think, you don't have to be a lawyer to think that they unilaterally modified the terms of the easement by relocating its position. They can't otherwise cut us off, and if she's maintaining this, then I've got a lawsuit against her client, which I don't want to bring, for interference with the easement. And you know, the longer this goes on, this itself becomes a claim against CETA, which I don't want to have to bring. But it has been and is now even more just more of a nuisance at this point. Thank you very much.
Well, thank both for your statements there. I appreciate that very much. Do you have something else?
I just want to say, you cannot create a landlocked parcel under the law. You can't cut off somebody's access to a property. It doesn't allow it. There has to be access. The easement that was approved anticipated that there would be a commercial use to the rear. I think this was addressed at the Planning and Zoning Commission, Chris, that they were going to try and meet after the last meeting also. Wasn't there some representation?
Correct. That was the direction of the board, to have the two parties meet to try to come to a resolution prior to this meeting.
Okay.
And Adam Kingsley, who had been representing CETA from Ms. Haddad's firm, indicated he had been trying to reach his client, but I have reached out to Adam a couple of times. I've gotten absolutely no response by voicemail or by email as the two methods I have tried to reach out to him.
Mr. Kingsley is transitioning out of the office, so.
Nobody advised me of that. I didn't get a courtesy copy of your communications today. I had to get that from the village attorney, so anyway.
And in the past, so the village board, in the time that I've been here, and you all know it's been a while, we haven't had these situations come to us at the village board. The staff has always sat down with the parties when there's been willingness to sit down. We didn't expect this to be coming forward in this manner tonight, because usually we head it off. You know that the economic development staff and your village administrator act as kind of a gatekeeper, and we didn't expect this to be coming forward in this regard when it was added to the agenda.
Right, and they have tried, and we appreciate what they have done to date.
So,
Well, there's two main issues I see here. One is, they look like the access has been there for probably 30 years, if not longer. So, CETA has allowed that to be used for 30 years as an access, and that carries a lot of weight with me. Also, construction season is drawing close. This 3 weeks before our next board meeting. I don't want to impact the project at all because we did not act when we had all the information in front of us. So personally, I think we should move forward with this and approve it, and hopefully the two of you can get together this weekend and work out your differences.
With all due respect, Mayor, any action by the board approving this unduly damages and prejudices CITA, because Mr. Meeks is going to have no motivation to work with us to contribute towards maintenance, repairs. Back in 2014, CITA had asked for reimbursement and never received same. So once again, we would ask for the board not to approve this, so that once again, we have time within the next week to get together and get this resolved.
Again, I appreciate that, but I think you've been given enough time, and it has been used wisely, and well, we have to move forward here. Thank you very much for both of your statements.
I would note on the draft ordinance in your packet, under the conditions, there's a departure relative to the number of parking spaces. It looks like we carried over a number incorrectly, and it should have been 9 spaces rather than 4. So down to 4, 9 is obviously better, so that was a typo that, I don't know if we misread it or what. So it should have been 9, the departure down to 9, if the board is going to consider this.
Anyone from the board have any more questions of our attorney? Okay. If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Butler.
Second.
Second by trustee Nichols. Any questions by the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
Trustee Valdez. Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Aye.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Bennis.
Aye.
That's approved 6-0. Thank you very much for your statements tonight and your cooperation during the hearing. Well, not even actually hearing, it's the open forum during our meeting. And moving on to our last item of business, item M, is an ordinance authorizing a license and hold harmless agreement between the Village of Round Lake Beach and the Round Lake Area Park District regarding Huebner Park. The Park District is going to be turning into a house and a recreational facility off the channel over by Clarendon. The agreement will hold the village harmless should any incidents that may occur. Attorney Pullman, is there anything else you want to stipulate on that?
It's a cooperative license agreement. It is for a long time, but you have the right to terminate. They're going to, I believe they're getting a grant for part of this, so it should be a good amenity for the neighborhood and for the village.
Oh, I agree. It'd be nice to have that options down there for the residents for recreation.
Mayor, if I can also go on to the record one more time. I am employed by the Round Lake Area Park District, so I will not be voting on this item tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Butler. Any questions by the board? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Whoa. Have fun with that.
Move that to trustee Bennis.
Yeah.
Second.
Second by trustee Wallace. We have a motion and a second. Any questions by the board? Please call the roll.
Trustee Valdez. Trustee Wallace.
Aye.
Trustee Butler.
Myself, please.
Trustee Nichols.
Aye.
Trustee Bennis.
Aye.
Trustee Husk.
Aye.
That's approved 5-0. Okay. That was our last item of business. We do not have any executive session tonight, so now it is open to public participation. Anyone who has a question or comment for the board, please come to the microphone, give your name and address to the record, and either ask your question or state your comment. Well, thank you all for being here tonight. We do appreciate it. Thank you for the Queens for showing up and joining us tonight and sticking out through the whole meeting. That's awesome. Oh, please do, yes.
Very interesting, my first time here. Ron Matthews, I live at 832 Gulfview Drive. What I would like from, this has to do with the flood, and it's kind of for the Public Works Department. My insurance company would like a timeline of the failure of the lift stations, because we were been denied. We had sewage backup,
Okay.
and the timeline, the insurance company, what we told them, and what really happened, you know, what they got from the village was different. An example was we called like at 3 o'clock in the morning to the village, and they said the pump stations were down. A couple days later, the insurance company called, and I don't know who they talked to, but then they said the pumps were working. So we have to know what really happened. Were they working? Weren't they working?
You said you're on Gulfview?
Yes, yeah. And that lift station's on Turnbull,
Okay.
which was
Right.
underwater,
over.
you know, the whole time.
You said you called at 3 in the morning. Who did you call? What number? Do you happen to know what number? Non-emergency police number?
Non-emergency police number, yeah.
CENTCOM?
Yeah, so we would request, if we could, get a timeline as to when it went down. Was it down? Was it working? Why did we get sewage coming out of the toilet?
I don't know, all this, everything's surcharged, even the ones that were working 100% couldn't handle capacity. But I think our SCADA system might be able to give some kind of report. I haven't, never asked for that.
Yeah, we can check the run times on the SCADA.
Yeah.
And we're able to generate some kind of report or something showing,
Yeah, it will report failures, it will report high levels, and we were reporting high levels for the lift stations.
well, before you leave tonight, then if you could maybe check with Scott here and you guys can exchange information so we can get back in
I went
touch
and I
with you.
talked with Chuck Bowden. He was very helpful. You know, he showed me how everything, which I already knew, but I didn't tell him that. So. Can I
We
talk
can
to
meet
you
after the meeting, yes.
We've done here a few more seconds, we'll be able to finish this up.
Hurry up. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Sorry for your flooding issues. Anyone else, any questions or comments tonight? Well, again, thank you all for being here tonight. We don't have any executive sessions, so we have no items on those sessions. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by trustee Bennis, second by trustee Wallace. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Fast enough?